Alright guys, well you did read that title correctly. It is September and we are already getting ready for next spring's garden, so stay tuned. Alright guys, well yes, you did read that title correctly. It is only September and we are already planning our spring garden, and a lot of you guys are going to be asking, well, what are you guys doing? And the answer is kind of specific to our channel, but there's a lot of you guys out there that are probably in the same boat. We purchased our property really kind of beginning of this last summer, the current summer that we're in now. So when we got our garden started, we had to hurry up and get everything in, and to be kind of frank, our garden really suffered this year just because of the timing of everything. Now, currently our summer garden is underway. Like I said, it's doing okay. Our fall garden, it's doing pretty good. Tons of radishes out of there, tons of lettuce, tons of kale. And our summer garden, we had tons of tomatoes. We have an never-ending supply of cucumbers that Chris and I have pickled. We just ate them, we've cut them up. We've done everything possible you can think of with a cucumber. Corn really did suffer, again, just the timing of that and the weather that we've had. But those two garden beds or areas are overall, they're doing okay. But I really wish we would have had more time to focus on them earlier in the season. Between us moving and everything going on, and like I said, the timing, they really suffered. So with that said, a ton of homesteaders, a ton of gardeners, a ton of people that just work outside really like to wait until spring to get started with the season. And I don't. I just find that at that point you are spending so much time outside that by the time you're through April or even May, you're just exhausted, you're burned out, and you don't want anything to do with it any longer. So now that it's September, now that there's less work being required in our gardens, less work that's being required kind of around our homestead in general, we are getting underway with getting our new garden beds installed. Now, if you are a homestead or a gardener that's expanding, I suggest that you do this now. This is going to free up that, like I said, that time in early spring where you can be working on so many other things and you're not getting exhausted. Now, overall, like I said, here's our summer garden beds. Tomatoes did really great. Those asparagus beans, I'm still pretty iffy on. Cucumbers are starting to die out, which, you know, at this point, thank goodness, because we've just had way too many cucumbers. Corn kind of really suffered this year, like I said. And then our watermelons, they never came in. So like I said, we did mow that down, and you can barely tell that there was a bed there at this point. But I think next spring what we're gonna do is we are gonna combine these 5 beds here and just grow corn there. Our fall garden beds are doing really good. We just harvested some kale out of there. Radishes, we're on our second planting of those. These gourds that we planted for the kids for Halloween time are doing really great. What do we have over here? Lettuce was doing really great. We just cut most of that out. And then the only thing that really didn't grow well was the garlic, and we've talked about that before. I think we just had a bad batch. Now, the work that we have been doing out here for September is we've installed this long garden bed here for tomatoes. We have these 4 here for onions, garlic. We're gonna do our basil there, kind of more of our spices. And then there's 3 additional ones over here that are circular shaped. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna plant there yet. And then we have another long line over here that we're gonna put in, and over here that we're gonna put in. So a lot of work. Atlas and I have been doing this kind of in the evenings, and really we've just been taking our time. It's still incredibly hot out, but the early mornings and late afternoons it's cooling down quite a bit, generally speaking by about 30 degrees. So we take advantage of that temperature when it's like mid 70s. When we've been out here, we've taken trailer loads of soil out, and I'm gonna go over what we're doing to hopefully help you guys when you're putting yours in. So with that said, this is one of the small garden beds that we did dig out. And there's so many people that'll tell you the no dig method is the best route to go. And I don't disagree that it is a very solid route to go, but in my opinion, it is not the best route. We came through and we did remove the first couple of inches of topsoil off from each of our beds. Now we have time that we're gonna allow this soil to kind of recuperate and to kind of heal itself. Yes, we did take out a ton of micronutrients right off the top by removing that sod and that first couple of inches of soil, but that's okay because it's only September. We still have October, November, and this really kind of the first part of December where we live before there's snow on the ground. Then we're gonna have that heavy snowfall, and then in spring, generally speaking in Michigan, we have frosts that kind of go pretty late. So for the most part, most of our plants are not gonna get in here until mid-spring anyway. So tons of time for the soil to recuperate. Now, with that said though, there's some things that we're gonna have to do over kind of this fall time and early in the spring to make sure that we have a very successful soil, and that is we are gonna start covering that with grass clippings here over the next couple of weeks. Now, I'm kind of letting our grass grow out as long as possible before I get it mowed, and I'm not gonna be able to cover each of those beds at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work with the smallest ones first and get those covered, or the beds that I know that are gonna need a little bit more nutrients come spring. So tomato plants, in my opinion, are one that need a little bit more nutrients over something like onions or basil. Those are things that, yes, while they do need nutrient-rich soil, they are something that I can supplement with compost in the spring. So what I will begin doing is I'm gonna let the soil dry out this week, that topsoil. I still do need to rake it out. Once that's done, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna start covering that with grass clippings. And then just before our first snowfall, we will come out, we're gonna cover each of those beds with a tarp. The purpose of the tarp is to make sure that, like I said, with us getting in later in the spring, that it's not, we don't have any kind of grass or weeds or anything growing up or popping up there last second. Then when that's done, we're just gonna leave it until spring. We'll add as much compost in the spring as possible, and then really all we have to do is put our plants in. So we will be saving so much work, so much headache, so much back-breaking labor getting it done now and out of the way. So if you are a homestead or gardener who is either starting out or who's expanding, really consider what you can do this late summertime. Even if it's not exactly September, you can wait until October or November here in Michigan, or if you're in a warmer climate area, you may be able to wait quite a bit longer than that. But try to diversify when you're getting everything done. Don't wait until spring to get everything done, because you're just gonna exhaust yourself. You're gonna try to take shortcuts. You're not gonna get things done that you wanted to. And let's face it, we all end up running behind schedule-wise. So if something comes up, like for us moving, I mean, yeah, there was nothing we could do about that, but there was something that came up this next spring. At least I have it done. At least I can get something done and be happy with what I got. So as always, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, and please share the video if there's anyone that you know that might like it.